Good evening. Welcome to the City of Arts Virtual Music Symposium. This symposium is brought to you by LEAP, Linking Everyday Extraordinary People, in the key of G, Everett's Natural Beauty School and Salon, Hug Detroit Day, Aduni's Event Planning Bootcamp Academy, and in Bayou, it's not business as usual. Tonight's discussion features the horn instrument, and our master horn panelists for this evening are John Douglas, Dave McMurray, Alan Dennard, James Carter, Rayse Biggs, and the moderator for the evening is Bill Meyer. So sit back, relax, learn, and enjoy. Bill, it's all yours.
That's the cue. Okay, I got to take over now. Hi, everybody. So what a thrill to be here with these giants of music. First of all, let's make it clear. I'm not a horn player, and I couldn't tell you how to blow on the horn or nothing like that. So I ain't going to be talking to you about technique, guys, and you're going to have to tell me about that. We'll cover what you want to cover. I got a lot of questions for you. I'm a piano player, and I've run into horn players every now and then. Actually, I probably played with all you guys many times. Always thrilling. Great experience. Except where is Alan Dennard? He's not here yet. He's the young guy. Okay, and we're also waiting for Dave McMurray is going to be joining us. So I guess I've watched a few of these nights, and first of all, I want to thank Sheila and Phil for starting something like this project where we all get to talk to each other and learn about the musicians in the city and the business of music. This is very important, and somebody had to do it, and Phil and Sheila took over the reins and did it. Thank you so much. Uh, let's say I'm going to ask you questions, and then I don't know. I guess since I'm the moderator, I'm going to go one at a time, or you can all talk at the same time if you want to, which we normally do anyways in real life. Uh,
I
uh,
think that'll be a different if you do that. So maybe we better get hooked on phonics individually unless we all concur at the same time.
okay, well, hey, I just got a text from Alan Dennard saying, "Hey, I'm waiting for the meeting to start." So,
Oh, you know
He went
what?
to
He probably went
the
to
link I went
to the rehearsal.
He's got the rehearsal link, I think.
oh, okay, good. Somebody hook him up, eh? Um, I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss the rules of
You
the
got
game
it.
as we lay 'em out. Okay, he's coming on, and then David. I heard from David also. He was in New York. I think. Dave's in New York. Is he coming back or what? I don't know. All right, so I guess we'll keep all the mics on at the same time. If anybody gets unruly or they swear or anything like that, we'll just cut the mics, right, Sheila? Okay, fine. Uh,
Uh-oh.
that knocks out a couple of you guys. I know that. Try to keep it clean so the kids can watch the show too. Uh,
Got it.
so we got some easy questions and some hard questions. I'm going to ask you, and then we'll just go around the room and one at a time for a while here, and then if anybody wants to jump in, it's fine with me. I'm just here to have fun and hope we learn something and have fun doing it. If you ever lose interest in this thing, or you're saying, "Hey, this is dragging," or you don't like, let me know. Just send me a letter. My address is 3016 Trowbridge. All right. So the easy questions are going to be like, "What's your favorite color?" Yeah, that kind of stuff. Now the hard ones are going to be, "What is life about?" So somewhere in between there, I'm going to ask you questions. But some of you like to answer the easy ones, some like to answer the hard ones. So I'm going to start out with a difficult question. So I want you to all approach this before we get into our personality and the personal stories and who we've worked with and where we've been and all the horns we play and who we know and all that stuff. We'll all learn that by the time we're done. 2 hours we got to talk. Man, this is a long time. I can't sit still for 2 hours, so let's see if we can do this. We'll try it. So let's start with this question. And if you have any questions, let me know. One is, what is music? How would you define music? First of all, before we get into all the questions of why did you learn this instrument, why did you pick that, and all that, This has to do with why you guys are musicians and what you're doing in life. What is music? The definition, and how important is music in life? So raise your hand who wants to go first. Go ahead, James.
Well, first off, I want to concur with you on the aforementioned statement about thanking Sheila and Phil for making this happen. Far too often, we see each other in various musical settings, particularly recently, and the urgency is to get back on the stage and play. And we never really have a time to connect like this. You know, we have some off stage, like in between breaks and whatnot, anticipating to get back on stage to talk, but we never really sit down and talk like this, you know, where there isn't any horn. And I actually left a horn. I know that you mentioned to have a horn or whatever to play, but I actually left the horn out of it because the horn speaks for itself in the various venues and all. So it's just about us getting hooked on phonics. To the question at hand, music is a cultural tapestry to me that keeps us forever intertwined and, more importantly, connected. You know, not just connected artistically, but also connected soulfully. And I can definitely speak from a family of musicians, being the youngest of 5, with 2 brothers and 2 sisters that were musically inclined. Mother played violin and piano in her formative years. My dad played a mean radio and wouldn't allow anything that was junk on it, you know. So there's always been a Greek chorus of musicians and artists in the household, as well as a host of cousins and their friends as I was growing up. So, like I said, the definition for me is it's the tapestry, it's the healing balm, it's the salve, it's the glue, the soulful adhesive that keeps us together and keeps us connected throughout the continuum, through our ancestors and for the future musicians that are coming about as well.
That's a great start. Thank you, James. We're asking the question, what is the definition of music and why is it important? So who wants to go next?
I'll give it a stab.
You got, no, hey, no stabbing.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll leave the knifing out of it.
All right.
Music is like a thick chain. You know, when I was growing up, music was always in the house. My father always played music. Train, Miles, Bird, music. I mean, he played the jazz music. Authentic music. That's what I heard all the time in the house, in the household, because that's what he played. I remember looking at, you know, music is such a connection. You know, all the musicians that I meet, we always become friends through the music. Okay, this is that link, that connection, that special connection, and it's always a special connection. You know, guys that I'd never thought that I would be able to talk to when I was a youngster, I was able to speak to them. And when I would speak to them, they would be very gracious to me and always give me good information. And I was always just in awe. I would always be in awe. But through the music, you communicate with people that you never thought you would be able to, you know, and they humble themselves as well.
That's great. Thank you, Rayse. So the rest of us can say ditto. I agree with that and add what you want or whatever. So who wants to go next? John, go ahead, John.
Yeah. Let me get in there a little bit, not to try to get all deep or nothing, but maybe to address the question of what is music. I guess if you want to look at it, not necessarily scientifically, but like X's and O's, it's a series of vibrations and silences organized.
Yeah.
You know, I guess the way I'm more closer to the way I look at it is more like a language, you know, and maybe scales is the alphabet. And once you learn, you know, how to communicate through the music, you can talk to different types of musicians, you know, from in any genre. It's only 12 notes that we're dealing with here in Western music. So when to play, when to not to play.
Okay, well, yeah. I remember a guy saying music is organized sound. So I think that's almost exactly what you said there. That's
Something like
yeah.
that.
That was just a straight definition of music. Yes, and I was looking for that too. So we have the young guy on here. He just joined us. By the way, James, you're being outnumbered by 3 trumpet players. Did you notice that?
One brass. I mean, what is this? Y'all
Yeah.
sent them the wrong information.
The 2 saxo players
Man,
freaked out. Okay, so
You're here though.
We knew you can handle it.
That's all right. It's
Kinda like a saxophone trumpet
it's
player.
all relative. We're all blowing, and some of my most favorite musicians are brass players. I mean, look at cats like Charlie Shavers, Cat Anderson, Roy Eldridge. I mean, God, who else can I name? George Mitchell, Dabo Smith. Don't get me started on my.
I know.
on
You're
trumpet.
well cooler than that. All right, so Alan, you're up last. Go ahead. Welcome, by the way.
Yeah, sorry. I was clicking the wrong link.
Okay.
My bad.
Okay.
So I was waiting, and yeah, sorry. What is music? I mean, music is expression. Music is how you voice your sorrow, how you voice your happiness, how you voice whatever emotion you're going through. And music is relative, like as much as a person enjoys it or dislikes music, it's relative to the individual. So music is for everyone. That's why there are different genres of music. So that's music.
And why is it important is the same part of your answer, right?
Why is music important?
Yeah.
Music is a universal language, you know. We can all connect through music, and
you can
yeah,
express
it's
yourself.
expression, and you know, it's a tranquil place for people. I don't really know many people that don't like music, so yeah.
That's a great start. So first of all, I've told the people at the beginning, I'm a piano player, you guys are horn players, we don't live on the same planet, but we work together, and we have some things in common here. And I just am thrilled and honored to be here with you guys because this is, as you said, you know, this is an important way of connecting. We don't connect very often, certainly because of COVID now. We hardly see each other except on Zoom meetings. Last night at Bert's, I mean, I don't know how many people came in. It was a great night. We started back. And I mean, I asked people to raise hands who came out for the first time since COVID. And I mean, lots of hands went up. That was their first night out publicly. I mean, that's how hard it's been on us to not communicate, to be with each other. So this Zoom's filled in for a lot of people. At least we could see each other's. A lot of times, you know, we see each other's faces that we wouldn't normally because we live too far apart or whatever. And so this is a great opportunity to talk together, and I'm glad we have this. And once again, thanks to Phil and Sheila and the rest of the people working on putting this whole thing together. So that first question obviously leads to the next one. So why did you choose to be a musician as opposed to a plumber or anything else?
Or are you also a plumber?
Or are you also a plumber? Yeah, where do you make your money in plumbing? I'm a waiter.
Well, at the homestead, yeah, there has been a couple of plumbing episodes that I had, you know, being.
I mean, making money at. Why did you choose music to make money at? And I'm sure you were influenced by people in your family and all those sort of things, but you had choices in your life. You could have done something else, I'm sure, but you decided to spend your life doing music, playing music. Wow, what a unique thing. People admire this profession.
Well, as I was saying earlier, it's a family. Hello? Oh,
Yeah,
as I was saying
sure.
earlier, it's a family connective tool for me, as well as for other people that are out here in the universe. And so it was already, you know, I grew up in that environment. And I was at the time that music really came personally into my life. I was actually online for being a computer programmer, and also I had various. My previous love was science, you know, particularly chemistry, and I was on my way in that end because, you know, between computer nerding and mixing up chemicals and blowing up my face, that's where I was headed. But
glad you chose
the saxophone chose me. You know, I feel that through various ways, God has various hip machinations that you realize later on in life with 20/20 hindsight. He puts you in the place, and he puts people in those places. He puts your mind at a particular place where you can absorb and have that realization that this is where you need to be. And you need to take those various steps, and you meet various people along the way that help you on that journey, either good or bad or whatever. But the point is that once you've been set upon that journey, there's really no turning back if you're really about it, so to speak. And that's basically what happened. And I mean, the ultimate goal for it is for music to stimulate the mind, create happiness, create hope. And as a result, I'm very grateful to say that because of the prowess that I gained, I met my wife through music, and here we are going on our 25th anniversary, 2 kids that are high school, 3rd year of college respectively and all. And this was because of the saxophone, you know? So, I mean, it's one thing to go up on stage and get house and, you know, to play your heart out and, you know, get paid and all that. But to be able to say that the saxophone brought my family, this horn made my unit, my family unit, my extension and all that. I mean, that's the ultimate degree of musical nirvana or artistic nirvana, is to provide hope and to let folks see that, you know, this can be a lot more than just getting money or having bad vices and, you know, things of that sort. It can provide hope. It can provide you with an intellectual stature that makes you think in other ways that aren't illegal as of yet.
Yeah, well, hey, besides the fact that like the 4 of you have been very successful, I mean, stellar performers, and you've made a decent living at music. It sounds to me though like what you're saying is there's many people who didn't make money and don't make money at it, but it seems like you didn't have a choice to go into music. Sounds like you were sort of pushed into it, and then you're glad you did that.
No, I had a choice, but it was just my family just basically came to the rescue. And as I started, you know, I heard the saxophone first, then I saw the saxophone. Then God basically put one of my oldest brother's horn section individuals in to live with us in my old bedroom. And it was through him, Charles Green I'm talking about, with Group Nations Divine, who would later go on to play the sax theme for Ghostbusters, play with Cameo, War, you know, Ad Infinitum, Johnny Guitar Watson. I would take his saxophone out of the case whenever everybody was gone. And I would put it together just like I see on the album covers and whatnot. And I'm grateful to say album covers as opposed to shrink wrap jeweled CDs. I mean, I feel sorry for this generation that grew up on that. You know, I mean, it's a heck of another thing to be able to have an album that you just got from Peaches or from Wonder Love Music or, you know, Aspen Records and Musicland. You able to open that mug up and actually see a centerfold, get the poster out and this, that, and other, and, you know, and to see the opulent engraving. And, you know, so I was taken, you know, God had it in for me. I mean, from start to finish, you know,
Yeah,
and the people that he.
And read all those liner notes, man. I mean, what happened to those things? Those are gone now, man. That was art itself. The liner notes was an art.
Yes.
So now you just play the music.
This earlier today, we had a brother named B.J. Smith on, and what he does is make vinyls. He has that niche covered, and he makes. He's been in it for like 30-something years, and we were saying the same thing, James, about just the excitement of being able to look at something and read it and put it on the wall. And some people have pristine, is that the right word? The covers, that it's never been scratched or anything.
Yeah, pristine. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but with the downloads, there's nothing to hold on.
There's no connective tissue at all with that. I mean, it's like cream of chicken. I mean, you don't get the chicken.
You get the cream. Lots of cream.
All right, so So I want to hear from the other guys if you want to talk. Let me mention the rules of the game is you don't have to answer any of these questions. If you want to pass, just say pass or don't say anything. But if you want to say speak twice, go ahead, speak twice, you know, that kind of thing. So, anyone want to say something on this point? I would love to hear your stories.
Sure. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, it was like,
why we
so,
started playing?
you know, I forgot it was so long ago. What was the question? uh, it was so, why did you choose to be a musician since it's such an important thing in life?
And
As
why
opposed to
is
being something else, like a scientist or a nuclear physicist.
Right. I guess as an adult, you know, when I made the decision to do it full time, well, I guess I should start to why I started playing, because if I hadn't started, I wouldn't have the option to choose it. It's not like you could just pick up 20, you know, at 27, you start playing trumpet and start getting gigs. You know, that's going to be hard to do. So I guess I started at the beginning. Christmas when I was 9, my mom bought a house full of instruments. I got 7 brothers and sisters. She said, y'all play instruments until you're 16 now.
There you go.
So it was drums, bass, upright bass, cello, violin, baritone saxophone, tenor, alto, bass clarinet, alto clarinet, clarinet. Like she bought a school. So, you know, one brass instrument, one trumpet. And I looked at all that, and that trumpet just kind of
shine like gold.
Picked it up. I opened up the case, held it up, claimed it. This is mine. And that was that as far as how I started. You know, I always loved it from the beginning. So, you know, playing through school, you know, I was progressing pretty good. So my mom got me lessons, you know, college, all that kind of stuff. But where I really made the decision, because I was working a day job, Pepsi, and one of the panelists was one of the ones encouraging me to give music a chance full time. So Rayse Biggs. And around the same time, Marcus Belgrade, these guys, they're paraphrasing, they were basically like, you know, man, if you just gave your first energy to music, you know, you could do something. And so I saved up some money and made that leap. And what I like about them guys, Rayse, he said that, and then he started calling me for gigs. It wasn't like he just said that.
What you're supposed to do.
He actually backed it up with opportunity. So that was my first lesson. So I tried to carry that very functional, how do you make a living kind of lesson along to the younger guys that come after me. So
once again, family sort of gave you no option. They put all those instruments.
Oh yeah, my mom was having it. You had to play an instrument, play a sport, hit them books, you know.
That's beautiful. Well, how about Alan or Rayse, if you want to say something on this question, because we're leading into the next one.
Sure. This is Rayse speaking. I had, like I say, I grew up in a musical home. My father played music. That's all I heard was Train and Bird and Donald Byrd. And he was all, hey man, you hear Bird? You listen to this. Come here, listen to this. You know, or putting on a particular track and telling me, hey, did you hear what Bird did there? Or you hear what Train did there? Hey, can you play that? The name of that song is what? And this and that. And so music for me prior to school was, okay, well, I can't wait to get into the music class. And I think I'm gonna play trumpet because I heard Miles all the time, Lee Morgan, Freddie Herbert. All these people I was aware of, you know, from being at home, like say a musical home. And so for me, trumpet always stood out, you know, in the bands, or whatever, it was the Messengers, whoever were playing, it was like, who's the trumpet player? Who's the trumpet player? Here's the trumpet. It just always hit me as that. And when I went to school, you know, of course, you had an opportunity to play whatever instruments you wanted, but it was an underlying, no, you can't play that right now because this young lady over here wants to play it. So why don't you go play this or you go play that? And at the particular time when I went to school, I always caught on fast. And I was able to adapt real quick. So they put me on French horn, they put me on sousaphone, they put me on this and that, and I was able to catch on kind of fast. But my love was always, I'm going to play the trumpet. And so I would always go back to the trumpet. And
As
so
opposed to the trombone or the tuba or anything else.
I went through those instruments, but I didn't have I didn't have a love for them like I did for the trumpet. You know, I'd see the guys playing it, and that's what I wanted to.
So thank you, Rayse. Alan, do you want to say anything on this one?
Yeah, I'll keep it short.
I mean, you're a young guy. This happened to you just a few years ago. I know.
But no, I was inspired to play music or instrumental music from my sister, actually, because she started playing the clarinet, and she's 3 years older than me. And just having instruments around the house. My aunt was also a saxophone player who was also in Rio Galaxy. So she was in. And to be totally honest, I wanted to play trombone at first, but my school didn't have a trombone, so I was like, trumpet is the next thing. It was cool, and the rest was history. I cannot put that clearly, but it was really at first. I was just trying to get the mechanics of the instrument and the technique and just learning how to play the trumpet. But throughout the years, I found a love for the sound of the trumpet, because a lot of people like to, when they mimic a trumpet, it's like very gimmicky, and I'm just like, the trumpet doesn't have to sound like that, So the goal for me was to give the trumpet a different sound, a different approach, not the stereotypical blaring sound. But yeah, that's how I started. Yeah, and I never put it down since. So yeah.
So that's been how many years? 4 years? 5 years?
God.
So how long have you been doing this, Alan?
Shoot, fourth grade. So I was 8. Yeah, and I'm about to be 27. So.
Oh wow, you're older than I thought. Okay, 20 years. So.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? Guess who just joined us? I think I saw his name, David.
Oh,
McMurray. Dave McMurray is with us. Hey, all right. Oh man, can we start over?
Video, we'll be all right. Okay, let's see.
Yeah, let's get the video on David. Oh, David, all right.
How y'all doing?
Yeah.
Well, now we got to catch up with you because we asked a couple questions. So,
All right, D-Mac, what up, bro?
So, David, we asked everybody. We started out by asking what's music definition and why is it important, and then why did you choose to play music in your life, and why did you choose your specific instrument? So why don't you just answer all those at once, and then we're caught up.
Hey, well, the saxophone.
Wait a minute, but before you do, I'm having a technical problem with some of these microphones here.
Okay, should I turn it? Let's see.
Maybe we should turn our mics off except when we're talking. Can we do that?
Okay. Yes,
you're on now, David. You're on now, David.
Would headphones help? Okay.
Something's feeding back.
Okay, now let's try this.
I can hear you perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Sounds good, eh? Good. Go.
Better?
Thanks.
Okay.
Oop, except the signal dropped out now. Okay. Okay, we're having a streaming issue here with this program. I think it's happening to 3 or 4 of us.
I'm kind of wanted to play.
That's not going to work. That's not going to work.
So order.
Let's see. How can we fix that, guys?
Say it again.
Dave, are you on your phone or are you on your laptop? Are you on your phone?
He's frozen right now.
My phone.
Is that you talking, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. So you're on your phone. That tends to happen if when you're using your phone. You don't have a laptop or anything you can use?
Sometimes it's the internet connection. So if he turns his video off, that might help because
Okay, let me
it
log
takes
off
less
and see if I can try that.
bandwidth.
See about that.
But no, if you just stop your video, that might help.
Okay, okay, wait a minute. Let me try something first.
Oh, I want to see his pretty face.
Yeah, I've been receiving yes. So
That didn't help.
about the CP.
Did that help?
No.
Did that help any?
Okay,
I can
go
hear
ahead.
you when you talk for a while. Well, a word or two works fine, but when it piles up, it gets.
Okay. I'll talk.
Let's try it. Let's try it. Try it one more time. Go ahead and talk.
Okay, well, I was just saying, my brother wanted to play saxophone, so I started to play sax. So they gave him a song flute to learn some songs. Of course, he brought the song flute home. I learned the songs. He didn't. And so when by the time I got to elementary school, they said, "Does anybody play an instrument?" I was like, "Yeah, me." It's like, "What can you do?" And I'm like, you know, all the Mary Had a Little Lamb, all the songs. I had them all out, and it was like, give him an instrument. So that went from clarinet, but Cannonball Adderley played the sax. So, you know, I couldn't wait to eventually through years get to the sax, you know. But even though now I wish I had stuck to the clarinet too, you know.
Wow. Okay. So thank you, and we can hear you well now. This is good. I think we're all working fine. A couple of mics jerked off a little earlier on and off, but they're all fine now. So let's continue on. Thank you, David, for joining us. Are you in New York?
No, I'm in Detroit.
Oh, you're back in
that
Detroit?
was last week. Yeah.
James, are you in New York, James?
No, I just arrived back here this morning.
Okay, and your mic is also streaming badly. I don't know why that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. So now I've asked everybody why you play music and why you choose this instrument. Now I want to ask the trumpet players who can play the highest note.
All of us can. All the trumpet players can on any given day. It just depends on what day it is.
All right, and then the next question is, why is that important? I mean, is that something a trumpet player has?
After COVID, I don't do that anymore. I'm a smooth jazz trumpet player now, man. I play mellow. I play more flugelhorn. Yeah.
So no lead anymore. Okay, no high noter.
No more high notes for your kid. Done with all that. I'm gonna leave that up to.
But before you quit, how high could you play?
However high I can imagine.
Yep.
Okay. So the question is that important in music? Is the range your how high for trumpet players? This question for trumpet players: how high you can play? Is that an important thing that you all strive for, or is it not that important?
If you're getting paid a lot of money to play lead trumpet, you might want to be able to play high.
Yeah, for that reason. Okay.
It's a part
Otherwise, it's not.
Yeah,
it's great to hear the high notes, of course. And, wow.
Mm-hmm. I think.
All right, so,
No.
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, Alan.
I was just saying. I think it's good to have the facility to have range, and just be able to master the trumpet in those registers. But at the same time, a lot of trumpet players abuse it, and when you are talking about a solo environment and stuff like that, it can be abused, and a lot of trumpet players think that if you play a high note, then you're good. Like you did it, and the crowd can actually be deceiving, depending on where you are, in the nation, in the world. A bunch of high notes might get the crowd rolling, but at the same time, for me personally, it's about being a dynamic player. It's not about high notes whatsoever. I mean, when the time calls for it within a solo, like the climax, blah, blah, blah. If you got the facility and the skill to play that climax, then you hit that high note. You better hit that high note. But, for me, it's not needed like all the time. So that's where I'm at with that.
Cool. Well, Alan worked with us last night at Burt's, man. I was just so impressed with some of his solos. He's really stretching out now, and He's a great young player, man. He's in my band. I'm thrilled to have him with us, and I've had a chance to work with all you guys, and it's always been a treat. Great musicians we got here on the line. I will eventually get to the personal questions like who influenced you and who you worked with, and you could drop names and do all that stuff in a little while. But for now, well, I'd like to ask you things like, what kind of music? Why jazz? Why is jazz important compared to other styles of music? And why do you play that kind of music? And I'm sure, what other kinds of music do you like to play also? So let's talk about styles and jazz, the importance of jazz. There's R&B, there's hip hop, there's all kinds of other kind of music. But why do you play jazz specifically? So the rules of the game, David, you were late, is that if you want to speak, just either wave your hand or jump in there. If you don't want to answer anything, just say pass. So you don't have to, you don't have to answer anything you don't want to. So we'll get some feedback from somebody. I can't tell who's talking.
Hey, well, the jazz for me was, I initially loved it because it was instrumental music. When even as a kid, I would gravitate, you had those shows like Steve Allen or something. And they would have like, when they had Cannonball Adderley on there, I was like, wow, what is this? I mean, when anybody that played an instrument that was Earl Garner, you had certain people that were on TV, that were allowed to be on TV. MJQ, Milt Jackson, that would be on TV. And it was intriguing because most of the time it's a vocalist. So here I can sit and I can watch an instrumentalist play, and I'm not, as a kid, that would be intriguing to me. So that was my initial, gravitation to jazz in general.
Yeah, that's good. That reminds me of another question. We'll ask it next. But first, if anybody else wants to address this one, why do you play jazz? Or do you?
Yeah, I mostly play music. I play jazz because it's the hardest for me. That's what I practice, so.
Hardest? Did you say hardest?
It's harder than everything else. It's more sophisticated. It's more.
Yeah.
Can't leave it alone or else it flees.
You're saying there's not much to rock and roll then?
No. I could play that, stop playing it for a long time, come back and still be bumping. Can't do that.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, I wish we wouldn't be losing some of the words on this with the streaming, but I'm sorry. Go ahead next. Anybody else? I'm trying to hear who's talking. So go ahead. Alan, go ahead. Alan and then James, I guess. Next.
Is that James?
Yeah, James's mic is breaking up. Go ahead. Go ahead, James. Let's try your mic. Oh, it's frozen.
As far as music is concerned,
oh, we're losing you, James. Okay.
I don't know why, but can you hear me now?
No. Can you? You were talking about. I can hear your voice, yeah, but your video's frozen. Did you hook up to the? You said you were going. Yeah, directly. Did you?
Here.
No. Can you? It's still blocked. Did you hook up by Ethernet? Did you hook up directly instead of Wi-Fi? Try that. Ethernet's the fastest. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll move on to.
And I don't know why.
I don't know why either. So, but I'd love to hear what you're saying, and it's not coming through.
I don't know why.
Try talking without your video.
Try without the video.
I am hooked up to the Ethernet.
That's a little better for the audio. No, not much. Not much.
Come on, let hit it. How about now? Can you hear me?
That's
Hello?
getting better.
Yeah.
It's getting better.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. Go ahead and let Alan hit it.
Oh, that's
I'll
better.
see what I can do on
No,
this
that's
end.
better. I hear you clear.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit of a delay, but anywho, for me, this music that we call jazz is the mother music, as far as I'm concerned. It has basically influenced everything that we've talked about that's currently out here right now. It's basically an offshoot of this music that we call quote unquote jazz, you know. And every time that I go into like a classical situation, like when I'm playing the Sierra Concerto for saxophones, and it calls for improvisation, I have quite a few perplexed and curious players of the symphony that are coming up and looking at the score and looking at what I'm playing, and they're, oh, you're actually playing this, and there's actual notes, and but what are these marks here? You know, and they're actual hash marks where you're supposed to, like, we know jazz notation, where there's a chord signature, you know, a chord designation on top of a bar, and we play along with it or play against it or whatever. And
Oh, we lost you totally now. Oh man, this is an important part too.
We're just getting to the goods.
All right. Yeah, those hash marks. That's funny because that's the jazz part. The hash marks.
Right.
right,
The other parts are the note parts that everybody reads. But jazz players know what to do with the hash marks.
right,
Yeah.
but classical players don't.
Yeah. Here, you're back. We can hear you now.
The classical
Yeah.
players don't, and as a result, you have a bunch of individuals. It's just like artists or like a comedian that wants to play Shakespeare. You know, they want to play serious roles, but sometimes they can't make that transition. You know, but by being able to play quote unquote jazz, I mean, us being Detroiters, we know that more than anybody, because if it wasn't for the jazz musicians, there wouldn't even be a Motown here.
Hmm.
So
Right.
that speaks on its own, alone anything else that came from it. So we're playing the mother language. That's why it's important to us.
And for those who are watching that don't live in Detroit or don't know these people, you should know these are some of the top players, and certainly around here for sure, in the style of jazz music.
Next.
But they all play different kinds of music too. So I'm only speaking when James's mic is not working. Okay. So I'm getting somebody's feedback from somebody. Okay, Alan, you want to say something?
Yeah. Why jazz is important, right? That's the question.
Why you play jazz?
Or why do I play jazz?
And why it's important. That same thing.
Yeah. Well, James, that was great. It is the motherland. You know, a lot of music has come out of jazz, come from jazz. But you know, to be totally honest, you know, jazz is Black American music, and jazz is very intellectual, and it makes Blacks look intelligent. You know, so this is a genre of music that is actually on a different echelon theoretically than any music ever created. Like, it's hard, and classical musicians know that. R&B, so many other genres, they know that jazz is the hardest music out there, like, for real. Well, theoretically, but to actually execute a certain style of music can be hard in itself, because you don't want to sound like a jazz musician playing funk or playing Latin. You know, you don't want that. But yeah, it puts Blacks on a pedestal of intelligence, because you see, you know, the rap today and the depiction that society has on Black music. They think it's just you know, money, drugs, and all that other stuff, you know.
And women.
So yeah, that's what I gotta say about that.
Yeah, Alan, well, thanks for bringing it up. You know, I was going to try to avoid the race issue, but racism and all that, as you all know, I'm an activist, and I've been an anti-racist activist all my life. And I just didn't want to push that onto our audience here today, but I think it's so critical when we talk about jazz and we talk about arts. We all know that jazz is like the only art form developed in the United States. And we all know it started down in New Orleans area, down south. Not all of us know that, but most of us on this panel certainly understand where the origins are. And I play in the black community because I want to be enriched by black musicians as much as I can, because this is the roots to me. These are the roots. Not that white people can't play jazz, or Asians, or anybody else, of course. But this is your music. You started it, and now you're carrying it on. This is very exciting. So yeah, we could talk about that later. And anybody else want to deal with the jazz thing? Let me ask you. So there's other kinds of music. This is called City of Arts, ArtZ. It's not City of Jazz necessarily. It's all kinds of art. And there's all kinds of music. And I'm getting back from somebody. Is that my mic that's feeding back? Okay. So I want to ask you about the other styles of music that you play, because I know you all do. A lot of you play rock and roll or whatever else, or hip hop. A lot of times it's for money because you have to make a living, and you get hired to play classical music, or you get hired to do this. So what other kind of music styles do you play, and that you like playing, and which ones don't you like playing? You can say that too if you want to. So let's talk about music styles.
Also, it's for connective tissue as well. Like I said earlier, I mean, we're about bridging the gap. I mean, when you look back at quote unquote jazz in the 90s, when you had certain attempts like with Branford and the Buckshot, the Funk Project, you can also look at Les Du Bois' involvement with Diggable Planets. You can also look at Ron Carter's sample. You know, this was the age of sampling and stuff that was going on, and also it bridged to where live bands started coming into hip hop as well too. Like Public Enemy now is using large live bands, and in addition to DJ Lord. So it's connective tissue. I mean, it's not always about a money grabber, so to speak. I mean, it's always, for me, my brothers have always played like R&B and top 40. So when I was young, watching them get ready for the gig and putting on the platforms and the bell bottoms and whatever so I mean, there was a certain pomp and circumstance that was into that, but I'd also had an inner ear because I would listen to the rehearsals downstairs in the basement or in the garage and all that, and you know, it was the music of the day. You know, as far as when I was coming up, Parliament, Funkadelic, you know,
James, let me interrupt you. James.
Midnight Star, and Infinitum.
James.
Was, you know,
James.
Law of the Land. But when it became part of me playing saxophone, I mean, there was always an undertow of jazz because Mom was always listening to it, and so was brothers. But it's all connected as far as I'm concerned. It's all part of one continuum. It's an offshoot, and to view it any other way would be a disservice. I hear you. I hear you. Yep. What's going on?
Yeah, you guys.
All right, let's try this again.
This is a technical break-in here.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, so here's what the deal is. We checked the bandwidth of where everything's streaming from, and it's strong because when I speak, you can hear it clearly. When Rayse speaks or Bill Meyer speaks, but if you're on a telephone and your bandwidth is not strong, and and you know that when you're talking, it breaks up, then you need to, when you're ready to speak, take the camera off so that you're not using as much bandwidth. If you get what I'm saying. And then just when you finish, just come back in with your face, handsome faces.
Yeah, that would work. That would work. And James, thanks for your comments. I mean, those are so valid and so important. Yes, and certainly that's the way you feel, and you have an open mind. And that's, if everyone could feel that way, we'd be all fine. Go ahead, James.
On a technical tip, my son was back here playing a game which takes up some of the band.
Yep, that's it.
He's in e-games participant, so
Yeah.
while I was during a break to come off of it, so he's disconnecting himself now.
If you use your phone and your if you use your cellular phone and use their service, it would be different.
Yeah, that's what I did. I don't know if there's any difference though.
Yeah, the cellular service is a different source of data. So if you can do that until your son gets off the game, because games take up a lot of bandwidth. Definitely. Okay, so anyways, that's a great point, James. Of course, that we're all music's all connected, and we don't want to try to divide it by styles if we don't have to. But I'm just asking this in reference to, you have to know many styles in order to make a living in music. Most people have to. So I don't know. I keep getting my bouncing back. I don't know what's happening. Is it mine or? Let me find out. Let me see if it's. Hello? No, I can't find out whose mic is feeding me back here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's David. It's David's. I figured it out. It's David's mic. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll turn you off, David, until you want to talk, and then I won't get my feedback on it. Cool. So I want to ask you guys, if someone asked you to play yakety sax, would you do it?
I've done it.
I know you would, James.
No, I've done it before, and of course, I have an affinity for Boots Randolph and Benny Hill. You know, just strictly for the Benny Hill contingent alone. But as corny as it sounds, that's a heck of a piece to play. Anyway, you know, regardless, whatever the facility is.
Good answer. How about you guys? Rayse, would you play it?
I had to get a little more familiar with it to perform it correctly.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I'd have to get a little more money to play it.
No. It's about the musicianship, and it's about how you deliver it, as opposed to so much that, it's corny. What make it not corny? How can you perform it and make it to a point where it's appreciated by people, as opposed to saying, okay, it's a corny, and then don't put any energy into it.
Alan, do you even know that song? Have you ever heard of it?
I never played it.
I'm a saxophone player, and I never played it.
All right. Well, that was just okay. How about Stardust? You guys play Stardust?
Mm-hmm.
I played it before.
Yeah, that's a good tune. Tricky. All right. So, are there any songs you wouldn't play? Let's put it that way.
The national anthem. I would not play the Star Spangled Banner.
Okay. Alan, I think we want to hear about that. So go ahead, Alan.
What? Yeah, I play it.
The national anthem.
Yeah, I play it. I'm getting ready to play it.
I'm not playing that song.
Not because
Right.
I played it though. I played a lot.
Yeah, I know why Alan answered that way. Alan's been a leader in the movement here recently against police brutality with Black Lives Matter, and it's a political thing to him, I'm sure. Alan, is that one of the reasons?
Yeah, I mean, land of the free.
It has to be. Yeah.
Land of the free, we were still being lynched, you know? we weren't free. That wasn't about us. That was about white America. They were still lynching us when it was made, 1939, whatever. Yeah. So I'm not playing that.
Okay.
And it's so funny. I wrote a friend of mine, you know, I went to prep school. I went to Cranbrook. So it was like a prep school, you know, and I had a scholarship. So I'm coming from the east side of Detroit. I was going to Southeast. And so that was like a whole culture shock to me. So I came there with all the things that I had from home. Now, on the east side, they had a thing called the Big Four. Now, Big Four used to sit, they were always four beefy white cops sitting there. And then when you would walk down the street, they would just intimidate people and they'd do what they do. So I would be terrified as a teenager. 12, 13, I was terrified when I'd see these guys. I would see them and I just wanted to just try to just act like I'm just, that hurts me to think today that's still going on. I had a friend of mine just hit me up 3 days ago. Now I'm finishing a book. He sent me a story that I wrote in 1973, where they called it Black Dave versus White Dave, because he wrote something in the school newspaper, and it was kind of like saying, you know, he met me and I'm a nice guy and all that, and it's not racism. He doesn't feel racism. Everybody is cool. You know, if I knew what was his parents went through, like his mom is scared because a Black person might have said something, and he wrote all of this, but I'm not racist. He was writing all this stuff, and I was like, and I'm reading it going, what? I'm getting appalled. So I actually said, no, I'm gonna write a rebuttal. So I wrote a rebuttal, and it's funny. Everybody know me, you know, I'm Mr. Smiley and all that. I was a whole different person. I wrote this thing to him very logically. And at the end, you know, I don't even know what to say. And this became like a it was going back and forth like daily, you know, like weekly, it would go back and forth where I would write something. My final letter, I wrote something like, I know you think I'm your friend, but you say I'm your friend, but me, I say nothing. I sounded like you, Alan. I sounded exactly like you because I felt like you. And it's a whole lot of years later. And it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing. I say, how could I call you my friend when a policeman just grabbed a 13-year-old and beat her? How could I call you my friend when you didn't say nothing? How could I call you my friend? It's like we friends, but I can't condone that. So if we out here when everybody is rich except for me, so that means y'all are in the middle of this, I can't get into it. So the race thing was, I mean, it's really real. But the weird part is, not only is the racism the same, everything is the same. No matter how much more money they had, people can afford to send their own kids to Cranbrook now, their own Black kids to Cranbrook, and they do. And it's $35,000, you know, to get in there, but they do. Things have changed, but then again, they're exactly the same. They're exactly the same. I did that song, the song we did called Freedom Day. That was written in 1958 or 59. Everybody thought that song was written today. And that was written in 59. Abby Lincoln wrote those lyrics long ago. So it hasn't changed. But I don't know. You know, it's human nature is a monster, boy. It's I don't know. Whether it's gonna change, I don't know. But we have to live our lives and do what we do. At the end of the day, we have to live our lives. We have to. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, you're gonna sit and you gotta fight. You gotta fight whenever you get the chance. But it can't consume you. You gotta consume it. You gotta make it work for you. You know, and get your desired result. You know.
Now, that's a very salient point, Dave.
Take your picture off, James. So
going back to like I said, that was a very salient point, David. I really think that when you go back to the meat of the matter with the Star Spangled Banner, quote unquote, or any other thing that's related to showing any sort of Americana, Yankee Doodle Dandy, my country's his or thee, America, you know, whatever. It's about us making it relevant to what our lifestyle is. I mean, case in point, Jimi Hendrix. You know,
Yeah.
look at how he basically took the Star Spangled Banner and took his personal life as a paratrooper and what was going on around him, you know, during that time, and incorporated it into that. And
you got the point. Yeah.
You know, and that was his protest in the midst of it, you know. And as far as I'm concerned, it was musically like showing it was a beautiful statement, but at the same time, it was like burning the conventional flag, so to speak, and giving it its own sovereignty. You know,
go ahead, John.
And that's what we do as a people, anywho. I mean, this, from what we know in previous history, I mean, we weren't supposed to have an intellectual stature, you know. Mr. Bojangles, Mr. Bill Robinson himself broke that two-person on stage, you know, that was supposed to, that was going down. You know, we weren't even funny enough to amuse people as a solo individual because of the invisible man thing, you know. So here's Miss Robinson, who's supposed to be one of the Toms or whatever, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna take this myself," and a bunch of people were walking out because how dare this cat have the audacity to think that he can amuse me by himself? Fuck that bullshit, you know? So we take things such as, I mean, To Be So Black and Blue, Strange Fruit, you know, Fables of Fathers, you know, we've lifted ourselves out of the doldrums of somebody else's lack of prowess by saying that, you know, this music has an intellectual stature. I mean, when
we lost you, James.
Oh no,
Alabama.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well.
Okay. Well, we'll wait till James comes back. And let's continue. I think John wanted to speak next.
Well, you know what? I put my hand up. You know, not actually to say anything in that moment, even though I wanted to say something. What I was doing at that time was, you know, throwing my hand up, like during the national anthem in the Olympics, a protest was made with a gesture during the national anthem. Other people, just by the way they stood with their head down to the side, made gestures, you know, against their own country's, you know, government or the hypocrisy or whatever that's been going on forever. You know, but, you know, this particular, you know, injustices, you know, run all the way through music, but music has, to me, the way of, you know, pulling people together, even like with Benny Goodman and Lionel Hampton and you know, I can't think of the other cats in his band at the time, but you know, just to move and play in Carnegie Hall, just breaking down doors, breaking down barriers. You really want to, you know, get somebody to change their mind, you know, teach them music and have them play music with somebody of a different culture. I mean, because it's a language. Once you start communicating, then you can branch over that, you know, the silliness, you know, because everybody's learning at the same, you know, learning or whatever. But you know, it's a lot of you know, spiritual sickness going on right now, and you know, part of our responsibility as musicians is to deal with that in our music and address it. You know, just like those songs, James, you start talking about. I threw Alabama in there, and I'm about to get out your way because you were making some very serious point. You know, those songs were healing, they're revolutionary. They're all dealing with different aspects, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, giving you a doorway to time travel or to look forward, whatever you need in that moment, a little piece, you know, kind of thing. So, you know, I'm gonna get out of that right now. I will play the national anthem for some money, you know.
Play ball.
You got it.
I'll play for some money. I would.
All right. Thank you. Well, okay, guys. Rayse, you want to say something?
No, it's like I don't know what to say, or not to be repetitive.
All right.
You know. So
Yes.
the point was made, and is made. You know, is everything turns into racism. If you walk this way or walk that way, then it's racist or you're racist. You could have walked around that way. And yes, and me, Dave and myself, we grew up together on the east side. Like I said, the big four, like he was mentioning about the big four. It wasn't pleasant. It wasn't pleasant walking down the street a lot of days. A lot of days. It was like fear sometimes. It was like I'm walking down the street and it's like, man, well, what am I going to do? And I'm
right. If this happens,
go across the street. And
right.
Going across the street is not going to protect me, you know. And there's a lot of those things that I got through, made it through. And how do you get to a point where you're comfortable? I don't know if I'm comfortable with a lot of things that was going in the situations where I was with a white group and they made some of those, you know, comments that weren't cool to me. You know, I'm a black guy. Well, don't make that kind of comment, you know. And so it's just dealing with it sometimes for me is not so good, you know.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you guys. The conversation is going in the direction I'm thrilled to be talking about. I was trying to avoid, you know, I don't want to alienate the audience, but I mean, this is reality. This is racism is a subject people don't want to talk about, like as if it doesn't exist or whatever. Like that. So we all live in it, we know it. So I don't mind talking about it. I hope the people listening appreciate what these gentlemen are saying. And I do want to mention that the second half of this 2-hour episode here is usually involving the audience, and we like to get some questions from them also if they have anything. So I don't know exactly how we're going to do that unless they put their hand icon up. You can go down to react button on the bottom of the screen, and you can hit that button that says raise hand, and then we'll call on you to say something, and you can turn your video on. But before we go to the audience, I do want to thank you for your comments, all of you, and I'm still having problems with getting James's stream. So he mentioned a few of the songs that are socially relevant songs that are made over history, and especially in jazz. I guess I want to ask you to directly address this question. Do you think music has the power to influence social change? Do you think music can help in the struggle for justice? And yes. How can it? How can it? Go ahead, James.
Music opens people. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. He raised his hand, so I went with James, and then David.
Okay. Okay.
Go, James. If we can hear you.
Certainly. Hold on, man.
Yeah. There we go. Try that.
Certainly, it can. Certainly can help. I mean, I look as a case in point what the powers that be are putting out here today, and I have nothing against, you know, low calorie logic that's being pursued by multimedia, you know, but I think that people have realized, the corporations have realized that there is power in the music. I mean, look at quote unquote hip hop. I mean, back in the mid 80s, it was supposed to only be a fad. It was supposed to be done with by the 90s. But obviously, when you see that there are people that were listening and all of a sudden you got gold records, multi-platinum status, and folks that are imbuing what these artists were, you know, wearing and their vernacular. I mean, you're basically looking at an influence. You're looking at something that can influence. And that's what I think the corporate structures basically saw, and as a result, they got a hold to it and got by getting a hold of the artists, kind of telling them what to basically put out, or they ain't on. You know, on the flip of the frosted mini wheat, if it was back in the day where we're looking at being influenced by, like, let's say if John Coltrane had a platinum status right now, and and Strange Fruit had a platinum, all the songs of protest. I mean, we're looking at, once again, like with the What's Going On album with Marvin Gaye, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of that. And part of that is sadly because of the still relevant issues that album brought up 50 years ago. You know, and it was able to affect change back then, or at least get us to start talking and dialoguing, if not get us to play differently on the stand. And the change has to start with you. How you gonna, you know, tell your people how to, you know, act when you're facing this situation. My son's getting ready to drive. I gotta, you know, we gotta talk to him about what happens step by step if he gets pulled over, you know. This is stuff that we gotta deal with.
Yeah, it's real.
Change starts with us.
Right. Thank you, James. Yeah, let's hear from David. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, well, I think music affects everybody. It change in every way. I mean, no matter what kind of music you're doing. I mean, you know, whether it's political music or meditative music or something, you know, it's music for those. It affects change for those who are into it, you know, and it's important. I was listening to Jay-Z, The Sounds of OJ, the other day, and it's a great song, you know, and what he's saying, he says something like, I'm trying to give you some advice for $9.99. It was a funny statement, but I understood what he's saying. I'm trying to tell y'all something. Y'all don't need to go to the strip club to go throw y'all money there. Y'all need to go buy some property. That's what he was saying. But then he said, if y'all think I'm too preachy, I'm just trying to give y'all some knowledge for $9.99. That's a good statement. That's how we gotta, I mean, you know, that's a way to look at it. Because music is healing. Music is, it could fire you up. It can, you know, take you down. It could be meditative to where you need to be, whatever you need it to be. It could definitely affect change. And we need to, you know, it's a responsibility, you know, whether if you're a kid, you don't care about a responsibility. It's whatever level you on, you know, it's not a responsibility for everyone, but those who are conscious, we need you. You know, musicians who are conscious of this, we need that. Every musician is not going to be that, but we do need that, you know, in every types of music, not only jazz, hip hop, whatever you in. We need that, you know. I noticed on the right, I hear something about like it's negative to be quote unquote woke. It's like, okay, well that woke came from a song, but how can you turn that to be negative? I want knowledge, and you saying my quest for knowledge is bad. That's a very, we got to fight that. That's a weird thing, you know, to say that to be woke is negative. No way. You know, but I'm going around in a circle.
Yeah, thanks, David. Thank you very much. James, did you want to react to that? You had your hand up. Turn your video off so we can hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I love the fact that you brought up the story of OJ, because I've looked at that quite a few times, and the fact is that him being able to use the medium of old cartoons, the vintage cartoons that were used back in the days of Little Abner and you know, cartoons of the light that depicted us in the quote unquote savage or
right.
light.
Right.
And the main thing that you really forgot about, I mean, it's one thing where he's talking about putting down, you know, some money for intellectual property and all that stuff, but the hook that comes back around. And I don't need to repeat that hook, but you know, but still, you know, feel pain.
Right. That's the hook.
You know, all that basically.
Yeah.
And they fake. That's what it still boils down to. And for somebody that's of his quote unquote particular stature that has his money and influence, to still be able to say that. I mean, that was a powerful statement to put down. Right. And you know, you might be paying some penance for that later, but it's still is science.
Right.
So but I feel that with him using that particular type of animation is his way, in a way of us being able, just like with Jimmy and the Star Spangled Banner, being able to own it, you know, take it for yourself and to own it, and to put that particular intellectual stature on it, and to say that, you know, we should be getting intellectual property, and at the same time still mind you that no matter how high you go up, you know, you still consider that.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
one of the biggest cases in point for me socially was the fact, one of the biggest cases for me socially was the fact that Tookie Williams, the brother that was founder of the I think it was in jail all this time for quote unquote a murder that he didn't commit. And during the time that he was in jail, he was nominated for a freaking Nobel Peace Prize. And he also helped orchestrate the truce between the Bloods and the Crips in the wake of the Rodney King thing. And under Arnold Schwarzenegger's auspices, he still got the chair.
Right.
How high can you go? You can't get much higher than being nominated for a freaking Nobel Peace Prize while you in the jail.
Right. Why are you in jail? Yeah.
So that's what we gotta deal with.
Yeah. So, hey, anyone else want to tackle this point? And then we're going to go to a public comment. Okay, we're ready to go on. You want to start with the public? And by the way, Nina Bentley has her hand up. We're going to go to Nina first. Nina Simone Bentley is, we all know Nina as a great artist in her own rights. She's a phenomenal photographer for sure.
Oh, and, my.
That's yeah, hey, that's an artistry too. And we don't get to hear you when you're in the jam room, but we can see your pictures. So Nina, if you want to take your start your video, that's all right with us. She made a point in the chat room about Alan Dennard's comment. She could totally respect and appreciate Alan's position on participation. So continue on, Nina. I unmuted you, I think. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I think the reason I really can relate to what Alan is saying is because I'm non-participant versus protest. If protest, we wouldn't still be protesting. We've been protesting way too long. It's time to take action. Okay, we've been protesting. As far as making something your own, I get it to a point, and I'm not a musician. I don't create like that. But to me, it's like making the word Nigger into Nigga. But the impetus for the word remains the same. You cannot change the root of a tree. You cannot change them. And they are going to continue to bear bad fruit. Okay, so you can change the spelling of it and do all that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's the same.
For me, exactly. It's still going to bear the same kind of fruit. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Sensitivity to what's happening in the Black community. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
No, it dropped off.
Well, no, I was just, in terms of music's ability to influence, absolutely, which is why they try to control it, okay? That's why they try to control the narrative and the proliferation of certain kinds of music over other kinds of music. Alan said early on about the intellectualization that is inherent in jazz, something that they thought we could not accomplish. Blacks could not play classical music. We couldn't do this. Some of the notes that were played in jazz were early on considered to be mistakes, not planned and intentional expressions by a group of people. It had to be a mistake. You know, they can't do this, they can't do that. And, you know, you control the narrative, you control the thought process, not only of the people receiving it, but if you do it often enough, you can actually affect the thought process of the people creating them, unless they are very strong in who they are. And if you're not strong in who you are, yes, you will. I can't think of another term, and so I don't mean to be insulting, but you will acquiesce to the pressure of what most of us all as human beings, not as people of color, but as human beings, eventually acquiesce to, and that is the power of the almighty dollar. I'll do it for a dollar. Pay me enough, I'll do it. You know, and oddly enough, one of the anthems of, you know, the negativeness, I lost words, but the audacity and the atrocities that have been committed against people of color, the lynchings, is Strange Fruit. But Strange Fruit was written by a Jewish man. It was a poem that was written by a Jewish man. So yes, They tried to control the narrative on that as well. It was exaggerated slightly in the movie about Billie Holiday. Some of it was exaggerated for purposes of Hollywood, but the essence of it was very real. They knew that that song could incite and inflame people to take action, to actually take action. And the biggest action any of us can take is economic. Just like we will play a song for $1, we cannot play that song for $1. We cannot shop at that store for $1. We have more economic power as people of color or any group of people. I mean, we see it. We see it with large groups of immigrants, and I don't want to stereotype, so I won't name groups of immigrants, that they come in and they keep their money in their community. But the worst thing that ever happened to us, to me, and I'm going to piss some people off, but the worst thing that ever happened to people of color, Black people, was the Civil Rights Movement. The Civil Rights Movement was akin to the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation was not about freeing slaves. It was about breaking the economic power base of the South because they had free labor. And the Civil Rights Movement was about, you know what? If you guys want to come into our communities and spend your money, okay, we're going to let you. If you want to live in our neighborhoods and pay taxes, we're going to let you. And guess what? Our communities fell apart. When we all were growing up, the grocery store was owned by Black folks. There was a shop, beauty shop, Black cleaners, everything right after, and I'm pre-civil rights. Right after the Civil Rights Movement, everybody started abandoning the talented 10th, abandoned their communities. You know that, Dave, I know you went to Cranbrook. You went there. Charles Farrell was there at the same time.
In '67, all the businesses around my neighborhood.
That's right.
It was meat, nugget stores, meat markets. It was everything you name.
You know, and so when we became self-sufficient,
over.
Exactly.
That was
so,
over.
I-96 and 75 were our versions of Rosewood. It was Detroit's version of Rosewood. They ran freeways. Now, just to give you guys, and then I'm going to stop because I can get on my soapbox and be on a roll. Just to give you guys an example. The bridge of 696 between 75 and Telegraph was held. The building of that pathway was held off for 16 years by the Hebrew population because they had sacred burial grounds. They moved the dirt. Okay, they moved the dirt, they stored it. They built 696 and that bridge going over Greenfield and the one going over Southfield, they replaced that sacred dirt. They held that up for 16 years. That they put freeways right through our neighborhoods and our business centers. So I get what you guys are saying. I get what you guys are saying, but I have to say that I would be more inclined to align myself with what Alan said. I'm not going to play it. There's certain things I'm not going to do. I'm just not going to do because protesting doesn't work. How long we started the Black Lives Matter? How many Black lives have been taken since we started? So we protest and we protest and we protest. And you know what? That's expected. It's expected.
To not play the song is protest.
Well, yeah, well, exactly. But non-participation is a little different than protest. Withdraw your participation. I'll put it to you like this. This is my favorite example, and I'm going to shut up. Your sister, since most of your sister was being beat by a man, you tell her, no, you tell her to get her ass the hell out. You would tell her to get out. You would not tell her to sit there and protest. But that's akin to what the expectation is of people of color. Yeah, they're going to protest. We'll send some extra police gear, policemen out there, and they'll make some noise, and we'll make a few arrests, and we'll actually make a few dollars, because we'll find people and ticket people, what have you. And at the end of the day, nothing's changed.
Okay, thank you, Nina. And I appreciate everything you said. I want to try to direct the conversation towards the arts if we can, even though that's an important, very important subject. And that's for another, I guess, another Zoom meeting, which we have to discuss. That's very important. Is there anybody else in the public that wants to say anything? I'm sorry, but some people's mics are feeding back, and I'm having a conflict.
No, I think it's definitely important right now.
Okay, James is trying to talk. Go ahead, James. James, are you trying to talk? Go ahead.
It's definitely important as of right now because the arts and current events are one and the same. One influences the other. We as artists have a certain responsibility to be able to enunciate what the current events are doing to us individually as well as collectively, and to find those similarities. I mean, when Nina was talking about, our neighborhoods are basically getting railroaded and stuff. And, I mean, that was happening well before civil rights movement. I mean, here with Mayor Cobo back in 1950, eminent domain, we were the basic blueprint for every other, national black situation that went down afterwards. 5 Points in Denver, Watts, everything got, racked as a result of the influence of eminent domain here in 1950 through Mayor Cobo. They knew how to get at us. They knew how to get our neighborhoods out. And, the civil rights movement, as you put it, was basically the cherry on top. So, but anywho.
Yep. Thank you, James. This discussion is valuable, and I appreciate all the input. I don't want to alienate an audience who doesn't want to talk about things like this, but fine with me. So this is the last episode of the series anyways. So if we don't get renewed for the next season, it's all right. We'll be fine. Thank you, guys.
That's what happens when you have ownership. Phil and Sheila get to run this, not the media, not the conglomerates. And so that's the benefit of having ownership. You get to talk about what you want to talk about.
Good. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I want to add something to that. My mic was on mute. I thought I was talking the whole time.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah. I guess while Nina was talking, I harkened back to the 90s, or really the 80s, and concerning like hip hop, and can you hear me? Am I good?
Feedback.
Let me stop my picture.
Hold on one second, John. I'm going to ask people to shut their mics off and accept the person who's talking. That way we might avoid the feedback. I don't know. Let's try that. I'll turn mine off too. So John's the only one with the mic on. Let's see if we don't get feedback.
And I turn my picture off. Is that better? Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yes, much better. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. So I thought back to X-Clan, the different kinds of rap music where, it was some humorous, some politically charged, some, whatever, battle rapper, whatever, all different kinds. But certain music made its way and into people's behavior, like the people wearing black African medallions and shikis and crowns and whatnot. So it was working its way into culture. And then, specifically, I thought about Spike Lee's "Do the Right Thing," where the Flavor Flav and them dudes, I can't even think of their name, would fight the power.
Public Enemy.
Public Enemy.
Right? Fight the power, everybody throwing their hands up, and it's, and then gangster rap happened, and it was like so negative. And the point I want to bring up on one of the ways music kind of sneaks up in there and affects you is like, just say you got your music blasting whatever it is. It could be classical, it could be hip hop, whatever. And you're about to parallel park, you're gonna turn that bad boy down. Why? It affects your judgment. It just goes in, music kind of goes in without permission. Somebody beating down the street, you can plug your ears if you want to, it's shaking your glass. It's that kind of is unique in that property. So you have to be responsible on what you take in and what you put out, and be aware that, with high-tech headphones and different things like that, that information and those messages where you might not subscribe to it is pretty much going straight in. So you got to be careful what you're listening to, and and use that in your music to influence and change things for the positive. That's what I got to say about it.
Great. Thank you, John. So it's working better now if we all keep our mics off until we're talking. Let's see. What was it? Oh yeah. So now we're trying to get the audience a time here if they want to say anything. And I notice Pamela's hands up, so we're going to go to her next. But first, I want to read in the chat, unless you guys have access to the chat also. Giselle, our favorite key of G, during this pandemic and the Black Lives Matter movement, have you been inspired to create music that uses the energy during this time? Well, yes, and that is part of the subject we're talking about right now, and certainly Alan raised the issue, and he is definitely doing that. And if anybody wants to address G's question, that would be Giselle's question, that would be fine. Just wave your hand and turn your mic on. Okay, David, go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. Music is so personal for everyone that during this pandemic, it's every kind of issue that you can grab onto that you could write about, whether it's social issues, whether it's personal, family issues, and music is the way to deal with it. Whether you making the music or whether you listening to the music, music is really, really important. So I listen as much as what makes me feel good is music from the 60s or music from right now. I listen to a lot of young artists because if I want to communicate to people, that's my way of communicating. That's their way of communicating to me is music. So it's very important. So whether you write music about social issues, whether you write music about personal issues, it's needed. It's needed, and people are it's time. It's time for it. Music is personal, and then a lot of music when I hear it, they're talking about the same, especially when you listen to hip hop, I hear 10 songs in there all talking about their watches. It's like, okay, that's fine. I'm glad you got a nice watch, but the next person got a nice watch too. And the next person got a nice watch too. And it's like, okay, damn, okay, what? We could talk about something else, So that, I like music that's positive.
Okay.
And if that's inspiring to somebody, that's good too. But
Great point of view. I just want to warn everybody, we're already an hour and a half into this. We got a half an hour left only. And I mean, it's amazing. I thought I was what the hell are we going to talk about for 2 hours? And this is just absorbing and really grateful discussion. Thank you, guys. I do notice that Pamela had her hand up, but she took it down. There's a comment in the chat from Rob Sauer who says, and this is another point of view about music's purpose. He says, I believe music itself has no prejudices. It sees no race or color. Even plants and animals can benefit from it and can be affected by it. So that's sort of like saying music in its purity obviously has no race or color, but I don't know if that's what we're talking about. Anybody want to address that comment?
Well, music is, music is kind of universal. It's the music in itself, the pure music, the actual music. But the music business is a whole different animal. And that's, when you talk about the music business, it's everything but pure, but the music is pure, because you can, I can hear some music from any country and find something I love. And I can hear some whether it's some folk music from India, folk music from Russia, I can hear something I like because that's where folk music is what people listen to, real people, and that's always intriguing to me, But the music business, that's something else,
Right.
That's something else. Definitely not pure.
Thank you, David. All right. Anyone else want to tackle that one? Okay. Hey, I just noticed that Phil Hale joined the audience, and that's another piano player in the room. Hey, we got a piano players, guys. We're going to gang up on horn players. Look out. All right.
Good to see you guys. Thank you for participating, by the way. It's been an excellent conversation. I've heard all of it, but I've been so caught up trying to get our songs lined up for after. So I'm just hopping in. Good to see all of you guys. When I see you, I'm ready to start playing. So,
yeah, without a doubt.
That's what's up.
Bill,
if I could ask one question, though.
Yeah.
Who's your inspiration? Who's the person who most inspires you at this point and maybe carried you from the early days up to now? Miles Davis, for example, is mine. I'm a big Miles fan. He's gone through the period of time through Bird and 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and all the best guys come out of him. So who's your most inspirational cat? Tell me.
Yep. You know,
Well,
I got
okay.
something to say.
Anybody want to answer that one? Okay. Well, we were going to get into those questions later about you know what bands you played with and what guys you liked the best. But we got taken over by the importance of race and music and social issues, and we went in that direction. But there's much to learn from all you guys, and one of them is certainly who influenced you. We talked at the beginning, I think, Phil. I don't know if you heard how they learned their instrument and how they got into music in the first place. It certainly was family influence. But we never did ask you who are your mentors? Who are the people that you most cherish as musicians that you like to play like or are influenced by? So if you want to address that question, Phil asked it. Go ahead. Anybody? No?
Well, for me,
ahead,
it's a lot of, he mentioned Miles Davis. That's one of my big people, Miles Davis and Herbie Hancock, you know, just because they've maintained to reinvent themselves like every 10 years or something. They reinvent themselves, even though they're doing what they do. And they make themselves palatable to the younger, you know, generation. Herbie did that, and you know, I heard he's got a record coming out now that's supposed to be real crazy. And it's like, okay, you're talking about a guy 80 years old who's still searching, trying to do something trying to do something that he didn't do before, and I can appreciate that. So that's I like that, you know.
So did
But
you see
obviously,
that?
from the saxophone point of view, Wayne Shorter.
Wayne Shorter. Okay. Did you see that movie on Miles?
Of course, I saw every movie.
Okay.
I just see him. I see him and I watch him. You know, just because I was kind of intrigued with him. You know.
You talking about with Don Cheadle?
Okay, Alan, go ahead, Alan.
No, I wasn't talking about that one. Yeah, I did see that one. But
okay.
I consider that a Down Cheadle
That
movie.
was terrible. That one was
That wasn't a
terrible.
Miles movie.
Wait a minute. We're losing the sound here, so we have to turn off everyone's mic and just Alan, could you say what you just said again?
I was just talking about the Miles movie starring Don Cheadle and how
Oh, the one by Don Cheadle, yeah.
horrible depiction of Miles Davis's life. They made him look like a criminal. And they didn't even focus on the most successful parts in his life. They focused on his hiatus, like, you know, when he wasn't playing and just was, you know, trying to get his life back together. And yeah, they portrayed him as a criminal pretty much. I didn't like that. So, but they had all the money in the world for that Chet Baker movie with Ethan Hawke, and they did great. They did great with that. But that just goes to show what the industry will invest in, you know, and how much they want the world to know about, you know, the true character of a Black artist, a Black influencer within the world. So yeah, that's what I say about that.
So I totally concur with that. And if COVID hadn't happened the way that it did, I was in cahoots with Charles Farrow during the centennial of Bird that was supposed to happen last year. I was going to have a panel discussion about jazz in Hollywood on one particular day. And this certainly was going to be the board affair, along with other recent biopics, if you will. And particularly, not only that one, but also the one about Buddy Bolden was totally drop ball. I mean, that was totally, they just madly fumbled. I told Winton that I was on my way to go see it when it was up at, in fact, Rayse was there with us. Rayse and Nina were there with us at that time. We all left out. I think it was 13 of us that were in that showing at the twilight. It was a 7 o'clock showing or something like that. And we all came out after the flick was over with, and we all looked at each other like, what did we just see? And for it to be somebody such as Buddy Bolden, who basically was the true emancipator, who set Louis Armstrong up. I mean, if we look at him as Louis Armstrong as the father of Saul, Buddy Bolden was the one that actually gave him the keys to the kingdom, because he was the one that brought in the church, the soul into music, and basically made popular tunes that much more popular and more personal. He gave us the keys that gave us our swag, you know. And that should have been seriously represented because, like I said earlier, this ties into everything else that I said. This is the mother music right here. And this was the cat that gave us the swag for it to be such. And for it to be so inaccurately portrayed, was a travesty in and of itself, especially with it, quote unquote, somewhat being in our hands. I think the only thing that was true about it was Wynton's trumpet playing in it, where he basically took three successors of Bolden, which was Freddie Keppard, Monk Johnson, and I think Lewis himself, as the hybrid that he came up with to come up with Bolden's style, his playing style. And but getting back into the meat of the matter, the inaccuracies and just the dissing of just facts and being able to clear certain musics. They didn't even clear any music for that Miles thing. Everything.
What happened? We lost you, James. Hey, what was the name of the movie? What was the name of the Bolden movie?
Oh, I'm not sure.
James, we lost your sound. I felt the same way about the Bird movie by Clint Eastwood. That also did a terrible disservice to Charlie Parker, I thought. I don't know if any of you saw that. That was one of the first jazz biopics when I was a kid. And focused on his drug addiction more than anything.
Yeah, they romanticize the addict, certainly. And I think the only dap I do give him is the fact that he came to grips by saying nobody's going to be able to copy Bird. So they had to technologically lift Bird solos out of the mono doldrums and put them into a stereo situation and superimpose them into a modern rhythm section and trumpet player John Faddis.
Yeah. Wow. So is there anyone else in the audience that wants to jump in here? Because we'll give you a chance now. We're rounding down. We're in the last 15 minutes. I want to say that, Bolden was the name of the movie. Okay, Bolden. I'm going to look for that. I didn't even know about it.
Yep.
I did want to mention earlier when Nina mentioned Strange Fruit and the Jewish guy who wrote it, his name was Abe Mirapol. And there's actually, he ended up being the father of the Rosenberg boys back in the 50s. The Rosenbergs were electrocuted to death, as you know. And he took over the kids as a father, and he wrote Strange Fruit and tried to push it on to Billie Holiday, who finally reluctantly accepted it. And there's a documentary about this called Strange Fruit. Actually, it's an hour-long documentary, which is loaded with tremendous interviews. If you haven't seen that, that gives a lot of background on the song itself and who supported it. Billie risked her career with that song. That was one of her most political statements in her life. That song was very powerful. It also, Strange Fruit was also nominated. It was awarded the most important song of the 20th century by Time magazine. The song was so important, and it's just one of many political songs that we know about that some of us still play. And I'm glad we mentioned a few of them here. And I think we're going to come around down to the end. I don't know why Mike keeps feeding back on me, but let me see whose other mic is on. Nope. Why is it coming back to me? All right. So I want to end this session, this 2-hour session, which has been really great. And I'm sure this is why a lot of people joined us, is to find more about you personally. I mean, I know you guys all have long records of who you worked with and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't want to get into that because we can find that all out anyways online. And you've all done tremendous work, touring, writing, playing, great jobs. And I've had the fortune of working with all of you in different capacities. I want to say one thing about James that's always impressed me. And first of all, he doesn't like being bragged about, but he comes into Bert's with us quite often on Thursday nights. And, one night I was just amazing. We were playing songs during the break, and I think it was an old bebop song that Charlie Bird was recorded. And there's James sitting at the chair playing along with the song, not only the head of the song, but every solo that Bird took. Or I think it was a Bird song. He knew not only the song, but the solos all the way through the whole song. I just was stunned. I mean, it's it's tremendous talent and skill to do something like that. And it impressed me. Anyways, James always impressed me, and all you guys do when you come in and join us at Birch, we really appreciate that. So let's use the last 15 minutes for each of you to say what you would like the audience to know about you personally, about your career, who you played with, who you really love to play with, who you don't like to play with, who you emulate, that kind of stuff. So we got 15 minutes. How about 3 minutes for each of you guys? All right. And if you don't want to do it, just pass. So let's start with John Douglas. Go ahead, John.
Let me make sure my mic is on here. Oh yeah, it's on. Hey, rather than talk about the people I play with, a bunch of people, wonderful experiences, just the range, such a broad range, and traveling all over the world. I guess this past year kind of made me more introspective. So rather than thinking about the people who I played with in the past, it kind of made me want to address some of my weaknesses. So I've actually played more piano during this past year than trumpet, like by a pretty big margin. And I've never done that before. So, just trying to get a better handle on the keyboard so I can write better, and then, I got a home studio going, different things like that. So I started making a beat a day or whatever. And then I realized, my piano stuff was sucking. I was pretty good at making beats and pretty good at throwing a bass line in there and, a melody, but my piano stuff was lacking. So I just, took this time to deal with that. More so looking to, in the future, continue the online collaborations that I've done with people as far as, being able to record from my home effectively, and get the kind of sound I want, just working with people online, different, during completely online recordings and having them sound pretty decent, just that. So hopefully I'll be able to finish up some of this stuff I started, and you'll be hearing some new stuff pretty soon. It seems like things are loosening up, so I'm looking forward to getting back out here, playing in Traverse City tomorrow, so I'm still kind of rolling, but I'm looking forward to making some new music.
Yeah, miss hearing you, John. Great musician, plays in all kinds of stuff, big band stuff.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. So let's go to let's see. We had 5, I thought, didn't we? Yeah, Rayse, you want to go next? Rayse, got 3 minutes.
Sure, why not? Well, my influences. Well, I started back in elementary school. He was a German teacher. He put me on the other, like I said, he put me on the tuba, French horn, all the other stuff. Because at that particular time, I caught on real fast, and it was then I was introduced to Russell Green, was a fantastic, great trumpet player, and he taught me a lot. Then met Marcus, and it just was all the people in the industry, and the Donald Byrd. I was able to have a kinship with all these great people. I met you. It's just, and it just built from that. It just built from that, and it keeps building. And it keeps building. My thing is always trying to pass it on to the younger guys coming up, like Alan and John and whoever else was coming up. It was like, here it is. Marcus showed me this. Russell Green showed me this. Here, take that. See what you can do with it. And these cats, when I hear them playing, coming up, I'm amazed. I'm like, wow, that was fantastic, and I'm glad that they're serious about the music as well. And hopefully, I gave them some information and can continue to give them some information that keeps them going, and myself as well.
Rayse, I remember you seeing you playing at the Jazz Festival with Ibrahim Jones and another guy. It was 3 of you, and you just totally took that stage, man. It was like dynamic choreography, the whole thing, man. I didn't know you had a show like that, and so that's the best I've heard Ibrahim playing too. So we talked about you last night at the gig, that you got 2 bands, and he's in one of them, the electric one. You got acoustic one or something. And who else you been playing with? And what about your bands?
Well, I have, I've kind of took a kind of back seat for a moment, not just my physical. I had some physical things going on, and it's getting better. And we're gonna be all, things are coming. I'm getting ready to come back out again. So I kind of stepped back for a little bit, but I'm still playing. I'm just formulating some new shows and getting ready to come out with some new music and just still working.
Well, I remember you're like one of the healthiest musicians I know, man. I mean, I remember like you eat some kind of healthy food shit, and you're like muscles and the whole thing.
Well, I'm still into trying to eat right and do the exercises and do the things, and yeah, I'm still kind of there. I'm still there.
Yeah. Well, Rayse, thank you for being on this panel, and it's so nice to talking with you. You're one of my favorite people in the business. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, you as well, man. It's a pleasure seeing all the people on the board, and James and David and all of you, John, all you guys, Alan.
So let's go to the Alan Young guy here. What do you got to say, Alan? Tell us 3 minutes about your life. You got a short life, I know, but go ahead.
A short life, yeah. But to be totally honest, everyone on this panel has influenced me in some way. All you guys. I've seen all you guys in your professional settings and have checked you guys out, gone out of my way to check you guys out. And I absorbed everything that I heard from each and every one of you, whether it's, language or articulation, stylistic approach, voice, anything, I was leeching. I was absorbing all that. Of course, my musical career, I'm gonna come out with an album soon, put it on the back brakes because of the social justice approach and lifestyle that I have now. And also I want to say that I love music. I definitely love music. But it is a part of my life. It is not my life, I will say, because I have seen, I haven't been as many places as any of y'all. I haven't been around the world yet. I've been to, places nationally and a couple places internationally, but you guys have traveled. And just even doing the little traveling that I have, to be Black just in this world is a crutch, no matter who you are. Miles Davis got beat up outside his own gig by 2 police officers. You know what I'm saying? They didn't care if he was Miles Davis. You Black, he would beat you up. So the big picture for me is, of course, create music to heal the world and stuff like that. But I also want to make a social and economic change within the Black community, brown community, oppressed community, because it's a lot of, we have seen that, Blacks, browns, we are the backbone of this country. We have done a lot of labor for this country, and we have not seen what we're worth. You know what I'm saying? So we deserve better, and we've been put in these ghettos, in these impoverished areas, and this systematic cycle of poverty. I'm sick of it. So I'm gonna try and people ask, you gonna go into public office and stuff like that? Maybe. I definitely want some type of cabinet to go in with me to just have the assurance of a unit. But at the same time, I'm not thinking about that's down the line, in the future, possibly public office. But for right now, I'm trying to just make a change as much as I can with what I'm doing with Detroit Will Breathe and everything. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, Alan, the use of your talent for social justice issues. I've seen them at many rallies. You're prominent. You are one of the few musicians that come to these rallies. I play Tariq Gardner's there quite often.
Oh yeah, I dragged him up there.
Yeah, and now he's a spokesperson for other projects, and I really respect you for doing that, Alan. And not besides the fact that you're a great musician and a great human being. So thank you so much for being on this panel. and keep up the good work. David McMurray, you want to say your 3 minutes of your whole life?
Without a doubt. But let me see if
Oh, your mic was. Wait a minute. Now you're muted. Okay, good. Now we can hear you.
Okay, let me just say my first thing about Alan, though. That's my man right there. And we need people like Alan, and not only in the United States but the world. And because you're going to find that the problems that you hear that's here, they're everywhere. You know, they're everywhere. When I first went to France, and I'm just kind of hanging out, you know, and a bunch of dread guys and stuff, and then we hanging out with some Algerians, you know, and they you know, barely speak English, so we, you know, walking around doing some things we shouldn't have been doing, but I watched them. The police rolled up. We weren't doing anything. Rolled up like. It reminded me of me being, you know, like I'm talking about the Big Four. They rolled up and they got scared. We didn't, because we from the United States and we had another whole thing. So they rolled up and they talking, and you can tell they was they were stressed. And then they say, well, what are you? You know, they looked at us, and then I broke my American passport, and they said, oh. They left us alone. And then they started to mess with them. I was like, damn. This is just like at home. Only it ain't me.
Right.
It's them. They're being Algerians. They get the same thing with the London, and it's like, you know, you go to London, and then you know, West Indians, Jamaicans. I mean, you know, lots of black people, but they're third generation. They're getting there now. They've been living there. Their parents bought houses that are worth a lot of money. So if they were smart enough to hold them houses, they got them. So I was watching, you know, one of the shows, and they're talking about the immigrants coming into town. And then the immigrants come to town. They weren't talking about black people. They were talking about Arabs and all kind of stuff. And they were like, we got to stop them. And they said, we. They were including the West Indians in the we. They included that because they third generation. So they're like, we got to stop them. That's deep. It's always somebody.
All right.
It's gonna get the short end of the stick. Okay, but enough of that.
Thank you, David. We're running out of time, unfortunately, and
I knew it.
You all deserve at least. You need at least 6 minutes to tell about your whole life in music.
Yeah. But I'm Dave McMurray, saxophone player. Got a new record coming out in July 16th.
Yeah. And I want to hear about your book. I want to talk about your book. Well, we'll have to do that later. We're going to conclude the program with the world-class musician James Carter, who's probably been to as many countries as most people could ever go to, and
without a doubt.
Yeah, and you know, I don't want to brag about him too much. He's very shy. So, James, if you could finish out the night for us, I want to mention I'm wearing my keffiyeh. This is my Palestinian keffiyeh because we respect the Palestinian people and the struggles they're going through. And just like the racism there is the racism here in the United States, it's very similar. And I appreciate all you guys for your discussions today. We went to areas where maybe some people and I guess might not want to hear about, but that's all right. Sometimes you have to say stuff and let's go further than that. And make change and bring social justice and bring music to everybody and share life in a beautiful way. And James, we'd like to have you finish out with whatever you want to say. Thank you so much.
Well, as of right now, man, there's so much area that you all covered, but as far as going places, we mentioned that we put in a lot of labor. We put in a lot of labor throughout the universe, first and foremost.
Everywhere.
You know, let's not discount ourselves just by putting ourselves here. I got a friend story as well too. I speak quite a little bit of French and whatnot, and I was hanging out in a particular area as well where some folks came around to us and started talking, you know, and it wasn't a police thing. It was more or less some well-to-do French individuals that thought that they could just, you know, talk to us. And I was hanging out with some Senegalese people that were over there. And as soon as they found out that I wasn't quote unquote Senegalese, and that, you know, I spoke French, but at the same time, as soon as I went into my American book, like, yo, what the hell is up here? All of a sudden, it was like, oh, wait a minute. And it was
Right.
like this hope of immunity just came up like, oh, he's one of them brothers.
Right,
And,
right.
and there's two sides to that, because of the fact that with continental Africans that are dispersed throughout the world still have their connections to the motherland, and that's their upshot on it. But on the flip side of the Frosted Mini, we have the connections here in America where we've become wiser and that much more connected, and they know that they can't run the regular okie doke on us, because a whole lot of people like the Senegalese and you know, the people that you mentioned earlier come to these places and work for wages that they can't get at home, and they send that stuff back home, and they put up with a whole lot of stuff as a result. And I think this also kind of rings in with what Nina was saying earlier about keeping things in the community. They keep their money in the community as well too, be it smaller or whatever. But I'm going to get back to what the meat of the matter is here, because we've talked about quite a few things that accentuate what the negative aspect is, because we are mouthpieces that need to talk about them, because they affect our lives and they affect how our music comes out in our artistry. Within the past year, I'd say I've kind of back throttled a little bit in terms of practicing, in terms of playing. I've had a grand last year, from the time that the right before the festival happened up until the end. I was able to actually go to Europe with my organ trio for like a week and a half in France in October. And we've done some other things online, live stream and whatnot. So we've had some gigs and whatnot that have come about. But I was mainly dealing with family, you know, because there's so many times we go out 4, 6, 8 weeks, whatever, and we come back and our family's grown up, and we've missed some of those milestone moments. So to be able to stay in one spot and let some moss grow on one's toes, so to speak, and to actually see and talk with your kids day by day, you know, and your family in general, was a blessing in and of itself, you know. And I mean, we saw the healing and how that happens, and how closer you're able to get back with your family. Hell, how the smog cleared up in Los Angeles because nobody went to work.
Right.
You know,
they couldn't drive. Right.
Let alone us, you know, no emissions, nothing was popping off. So we got back into ourselves. I mean, that was the flip side of this. And I think as a result of that, and the music should definitely be that much stronger, playing standards, whether we're playing whatever. I mean, it should come out with a different informity as a result of what we've been through recently. And that in and of itself is going to be the catalyst of protest and non-compliance, you know. And I just wish continue to be able to act as a beacon of such, and to be able to continue to play, you know, and to bring anybody in that's able to take whatever they can with it and make it a better place as a result of it.
Thank you, James. Thank you all for your
Yeah.
contributions.
Yeah.
We're running out of time, and I just want to say, I want to give David one chance to plug the name of his book. What is the name of your book?
From Then to Now. Actually, it's a book of poetry and art. That's really what it is. But it's poetry that I started writing probably when I was 8. I mean, you know, 8 to 10. But I continued to write the same poems from then to now. And it's a book of art and poetry. From then to now. Yeah.
Gentlemen, we have got to move on.
Okay, we're done. So thank you so much, everybody. I'll turn it back to Sheila.
And I want to thank everybody for tonight and for the entire week. It has been a blast. I am ecstatic about it, and I'm also glad that this is the last session. But it was wonderful. I really apologize for the technical side. We can't control everything all the time, but it has been beautiful. What I would like to share is that in today's technology and where we are and everybody, you know, the movie industry, you're seeing more cultural, and it's not the big guys anymore. All of us can make movies. We can correct the history. We can come together or get with other people and tell the real story. Forget about what they have already written, and let's tell the real story. I mean, can you just imagine all of you horn players coming together and telling in a really slick way, telling the story about the different people that you have admired or whatever, the musicians. There's a lot of jobs for the art, a lot of jobs in film, a lot of jobs. Nobody can stop any of us from doing what we want to but ourselves now, because we have all the different channels, and you can put whatever you want to on the internet without even have to pay. So we just be more proactive about telling the truth and telling it in the way that we understand it. I love you guys. Phil, come let them see your face as we go. You're supposed to come over here with me.
Yeah, because that's gonna.
Before I forget, let's thank the audience for joining us on this Zoom.
Yes.
Thing with us.
And I want to thank Giselle, my team, Giselle, my sister Pam. See, Jamila was helping us, and Tylene definitely, because she's the one that pushed this up, and we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. And
will these videos be available later to watch?
Well, you can get them now on Facebook and on YouTube. They're there because it was a live show. But I will also put a link on the City of Arts, on the website, the City of Arts group. Join the group and post what you're doing in the group, cityofarts.com group, arts with a Z. And we're going to put it out there. We're going to, figure out how to divide it up and all that kind of stuff.
I'd like to thank all of the moderators during the course of the week. I'd like to thank all of the participants, everybody on all the panels. I'm telling you, we're looking to make this worthwhile for us in the future. So coming together and having dialogues allows us to create projects that we can roll forward.
Thank you, Sheila, and thank you, Phil, for
Thank
your
you so much.
your leadership.
It's been outstanding. Thank
So
you.
are we done? Is that it?
And good
We're
night.
done. Peace
Good
and
night,
love.
everybody.
And
Thanks for having me. This is fun. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Good one, y'all.
Oh, it ain't there, John Sinclair, in the sun for breathing air. Won't you care for John Sinclair, in the sun for breathing air? Let him be, set him free, let him be like you and me. They gave him 10 for 2. What else can the judges do? They got to set him free.
Good night, everybody.
Why, if it been a soldier man, shouldn't go set in Vietnam. If it was the CIA selling dope and making that hay, he'd be free and let him be, breathing air like you and me. They gave him 10 for 2. But what else can the judges do? They got to set him free. Oh, blow your horn, Dave.
out of bed this morning, excited to be alive. Yesterday I did for each of the kids, my brother and his 3 wives. I cooked a delicious dinner, swept the floor, washed the clothes while I fold my sheets. I hear you knocking at my door, but today, it's about me. It's about me. It's about me. It's about me. So I called my job to let them know that I wasn't coming in today. My boss said, "What you mean you're not coming in? I have to dock your pay." I just laughed at him, hung up the phone, grabbed my bags, called my girl, said, "Queen, be ready. I'm on my way, 'cause today, it's about me. It's about me. It's about me. It's about me." Damn, I really like that dress. And those shoes, gloves, and that hat. I haven't bought me nothing in so many years. There's always a bill waiting in the back. $1,000. Should I or should I not spree? Hold on, let me get my money, 'cause today, it's about me. It's about me. It's about me. It's about me. Explore the mysterious channel of life. I will be conquered, and I will so graciously surrender, 'cause tonight is about me. It's about me. It's about me. feel your warm embrace. Dark turns light from the smile on your face. 'Cause I love you so much. I love you. I love you so, so much. I love you. I love you so, 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 so much. I love you. I love you so, so much. Oh, I love you. When I wake, you're the first thought that I think. Your love is the water that I drink. Your touch is the bread that I eat. You're the essence of life that I breathe. And I love you so much. I love you. I love you so, so much. I love you. I love you so, 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 so much. I love you. I love you so, so much. Oh, I love you. So lay your heart in the crevice of my soul. Cause my honey to drip from the bowl. See our love fold like an omelet to devour. Feed on the sweetness love can impart. 'Cause I love you so, sisters, we celebrate your gifts. Please feel free to express yourself in a creative space like this. Cause everybody wanna be loved, and everybody wanna be touched, and everybody wanna be heard, and everybody wanna be free as a bird. We wanna hear your heart, we wanna feel your soul, we wanna get to know you, we wanna see what makes you whole. We need to love one another, cherish one another, teach one another, reach one another, kiss one another, hug one another, forgive one another, celebrate one another. Is to give love, that's the only way it could be. Oh, how sweet and beautiful this old world will be. Cause everybody wanna be loved, and everybody wanna be touched, and everybody wanna be heard, and everybody wanna be free as a bird. We wanna hear your heart, we wanna feel your soul, we wanna get to know you, we wanna see what makes you whole. We need to love one another, cherish one another, teach one another, reach one another, kiss one another, hug one another, forgive one another, celebrate one another. Everybody needs
Hit it.
Hey.
I see deep in his eyes, dancing inside. His touch is unforgiveness. He is the right one. I blame no one for this. He is my forbidden bliss. When the world was so cold, you brought warmth to my soul. Unexplained love, higher plane love, love with no conditions, love. Unexplained love, higher plane love, love with no restrictions, love.
Open the door downstairs.
I'm inside of my feelings. Never want another love this good. Every day it's the same old thing. So good, so good. You have the power, not easily won. But I found your heart and it poured like rain. When the world is so cold, you bring warmth to my soul. Unexplained love, higher plane love, love with no conditions, love. Unexplained love, higher plane love, love with no restrictions, love. When the world is so cold, you bring warmth to my soul. You make the world invisible. You make me whole. Unexplained love, I apply love, love with no restrictions. Unexplained love, higher, higher plane love, love with no conditions, love, love, ooh, ooh, love, ooh, love, love.
wild. Said I've got a young pretty girl, it's about to drive me wild. But I can't do a thing about it, because you're just a baby child. Girl, I can control the feeling. Girl, it drives me insane. No, I can't control the feeling. It's driving me insane. Girl, I know it can't be love, baby, but I'm on it just the same. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Because you're so young and fine. Said I want you so bad, little girl. Honey, because you're so young and fine. So won't you please tell me, baby, what I have to do, woman, to make you mine? to do, baby, to make you mine. Gotta have you. Need you, baby. Gotta make you mine, girl. Still, you're just a baby child. But it's alright.